Friends, I was requested by one of my students to help him understand Freud's ideas on creative writers and daydreaming. I therefore decided to make a video talk on Freud's paper, Creative Writing and Daydreaming, as I think it may be of some help to those students who are interested in literature and literary theory. We are all always curious to know the source of creative writers and how they are capable of invoking in us various emotional responses with their writings. Let's see how far this curiosity of ours is explained away by Freud. Sigmund Freud was a Viennese doctor and is well known as the father of psychoanalysis. He was credited with the discovery of the unconscious, though Freud attributes this discovery to his one-time collaborator, Joseph Breuer. No matter who was the discoverer, it was Freud who came up with the model of human mind that divides human mind into two parts, the conscious and the unconscious. Though in his later writings, Freud modified his model of human mind, and in the new model, he divided mind into three parts, namely id, ego, and superego. In 1908, Freud wrote a paper titled Creative Writers and Daydreaming, in which he attempted to throw some light on the interrelation between daydreaming and creative writing. According to Freud, there are some interconnected similarities between a child's play, an adult's daydreaming, and a writer's creative writings. Rather, not only the childhood play, the fantasy, and the creative activity share similar characteristics, but they also are the same activities in different forms. Underlying all these three activities, wish is the common factor. For Freud, creative writing is a continuation of and a substitute for what was once a childhood play. Children play with things and create a world of their own by rearranging things in different ways. In playing games, all that they want is to wish to grow up. That's why we find little children imitating grown-up characters in their games. When they grow up, they leave playing. But as a matter of fact, they only substitute playing with the indulgence in daydreaming whenever they want to escape from the harsh reality of everyday life. Freud says that creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously, though he is aware of the difference between the fantasy world and the reality. In respect of daydreaming or fantasying, as Freud likes to call it, Freud lays down that the motive forces of daydreams are unsatisfied wishes, and every single fantasy or daydream is the fulfillment of a wish or a correction of unsatisfying reality. Depending upon the age, gender, character and circumstances of the person concerned, there are variations in the motivating wishes. However, Freud divides them into two main groups, which are somewhat interrelated: the ambitious wishes and the erotic wishes. Every wish moves along three tenses: the past, the present, and the future. An experience in the present awakens a memory of the past when one's wishes were fulfilled and builds up a picture of a future in which one's wishes will be fulfilled. Thus, past, present, and future are all strung together, as it were, on the thread of wish. Freud gives a concrete example to explain this. Suppose a poor orphan boy is given the address of some employer where he may perhaps find a job. On his way there, he may start indulging in a daydream appropriate to the situation. The content of this daydream will perhaps be something like this. The boy is given a job. He finds favor with the new employer. He makes himself indispensable in the business. And then he is taken into the employer's family. Then he marries the charming young daughter of the house. And then he himself becomes a director of the business. In this fantasy or daydream, the dreamer has regained what he possessed in his happy childhood: the protecting house, loving parents, and the first object of his affectionate feelings. You will see from this example the way in which the wish makes use of an occasion in the present to construct on the pattern of the past a picture of the future. Now, in the paper, Freud takes up the case of a writer and tries to establish the relation of creative writing with daydreaming. First, for comparison, he takes the authors of novels, romances, and sad stories, excluding the authors of epics and great tragedies. Because, according to Dr. Freud, the epic writers take their material from the collective storehouse of myths and legends, and that's why they do not invent their stories on their own. They are sort of borrowers. Let's go ahead. In every story, there is a central character called a hero, for whom the writer tries to win our sympathy by every possible means. The writer places the hero in a special providence, because of which he is always protected in some way whenever he lands in danger. If the hero is injured at the end of one chapter, we find in the next chapter he is being nursed and he is recovering fast. If one episode ends with the ship in which hero is traveling going down in a storm at sea, in the next episode we read of his miraculous rescue. For Freud, this invulnerability of the hero is the sure sign of every person's wish or ego, which is also the hero of every daydream. Apart from this similarity, there is another similarity between daydreams and any story. All the women characters in the novel or sad story are found to be covertly or overtly in love with the hero. This is indicative of every man's indomitable wish to be loved by all. Next, all the characters in the novel are sharply divided into two categories: the good and the bad. Those characters who help the hero are considered to be good, and those who are his enemies or rivals are considered to be bad. This clear-cut division can be obtained only in fantasy and never in reality. Besides these similarities in the characteristics of stories or novels and daydreams, there are some modernist novels that apparently seem to diverge from this general pattern of daydreams. Still, Freud explains them with the help of his theory of distortion of dreams, which you have to read on your own. In the last part of his paper, Freud turns to explaining the relation between the daydreams and those writers who take the material for their writings from the popular treasure house of myths, legends, and fairy tales. In this regard, Freud conjectures that myths and legends are probably the distorted vestiges of the wishful dreams of youthful humanity shared by the whole nations. Thus, Freud reduces the creativeness of creative writers to the personal factors of a person's life by pointing out some common factors and qualities in creative writings and a layman's daydreaming. Friends, before winding up the talk, I must accept that I cannot hope to do full justice to Freud's ideas on creative writers and daydreaming. In this talk, I haven't even touched upon the techniques of creative writers. All I can do is to recommend that you read the original paper of Freud to understand his ideas. And it will help you more than what I am saying here in this my talk. Thank you.